A violent clash aboard one of America's most powerful warships. 7 US Navy personnel are reportedly dead, several others wounded, and the alleged weapon knives and other bladed weapons. Now, before we go any further, an important caveat. These latest claims come from an Iranian news agency, citing an unnamed military source. The US Navy has not publicly confirmed the reported deaths or the circumstances described. But there is something that makes these allegations specifically striking because they come as the USS Abraham Lincoln is already facing growing scrutiny over the condition of its crew. The carrier has been deployed for months in support of America's war against Iran. Families of sailors have been protesting. There are reports of shortages, exhaustion, and deteriorating morale. And now come separate reports that several US Navy sailors had even tried to jump overboard the USS Lincoln. This latest report of a violent, deadly, fatal brawl on board follows these reports. So, what's exactly going on aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln? And is Trump's Iran war beginning to exact a human cost inside the American military itself? According to Iran's Tasnim News, the confrontation on board the USS Abraham Lincoln began after an advisor to the US Central Command, Chief Brad Cooper, reportedly boarded the Lincoln. The purpose was to address growing complaints from the crew. Those complaints had intensified after families of sailors protested over the carrier's extraordinary long deployment, and the reception, as we hear about it, is anything but friendly. According to the Iranian report, the advisor was booed by personnel. Water bottles were thrown at him, and then the confrontation escalated. What followed, according to the same unnamed source, was a violent fight among crew members involving knives and other bladed weapons. The result: 7 personnel killed, several others wounded. Again, these are not independently confirmed figures at this stage, but the underlying question remains: why is there so much anger aboard the USS Lincoln? So let's come to the warship itself. The USS Abraham Lincoln has reportedly been deployed for 263 days. It is currently operating in the Indian Ocean in support of US military operations against Iran. And according to reports, the ship has spent 208 consecutive days at sea, one of the longest continuous deployments by a US aircraft carrier. Think about what that means for the roughly 5,000 sailors and Marines on board. Same ship, same corridors, same routine, day after day for months. And unlike military base, there is no walking out at the end of your shift. You cannot drive home, you cannot go to a hotel, you cannot take a weekend away. You're living inside the machine, and the machine is operating in a war zone. And this is where the story takes a much darker turn. While the Navy has not publicly confirmed the latest allegations about the deadly brawl, separate reports have emerged about sailors trying to jump overboard. The Cradle reported that 6 sailors had allegedly attempted to jump from the ship, with the latest incident taking place on August 3. Military Times separately cited the wife of a sailor who tried to go overboard. Another military spouse reported that her husband had helped pull back another sailor who was about to jump. The US Navy has not publicly confirmed that 6 sailors attempted suicide, but what is hard to dismiss is the growing concern among military families about the psychological state of the crew. Families of sailors aboard the Lincoln have reportedly told US media that morale is deteriorating. They say their loved ones are exhausted. Some complain that sailors are working punishing shifts with very little time off. Others have described the deteriorating living conditions there: broken toilets, moldy showers, lack of hot water, laundry problems, and shortage of basic hygiene products: soap, toothpaste, deodorant. There have also been complaints about food supplies. Some family members reportedly said that sailors were receiving extremely limited meals, and the frustration has now moved beyond the ship. Last week, military families went ahead to confront Acting Secretary of the Navy Hung Kao over the conditions aboard the Lincoln. There was also a separate virtual meeting between the Navy leadership and families of the sailors and Marines aboard the carrier, and their message was simple: we want our people back home. So, what is the US Navy saying? On the broader complaints about conditions on USS Lincoln, Navy officials acknowledge that there have been problems. Vice Admiral Douglas Verisimos reportedly told families that supplies and mail were improving, but he also acknowledged it's getting better, it's still not good. So, when we talk about Trump's Iran war, the conversation usually focuses on missiles, airstrikes, oil, nuclear facilities, casualties on the battlefield. But wars have another cost, a quieter one: burnout, isolation, mental strain, and the pressure placed on the people asked to keep fighting. The USS Abraham Lincoln can stay at sea for months, but the sailors operating that machine are human. And if the war continues without a clear end in sight, the question Washington eventually has to confront is what happens when the people fighting the war begin to break. Trump's Iran war may be playing out on the battlefield, but its toll may already be showing up aboard America's own ship. You're watching Times Access. I'm Aditi Prasad, and do remember to click on the bell icon below to like and subscribe to this channel and never miss a Times Access update.
A nuclear weapon.
The old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
No tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world from our perspective? Welcome to India's Axis, a new destination for geopolitics, strategy, and power seen through India's eyes. From Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India. How one move by China can affect India's security. What turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability. How Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood. Why oil choke points can hit your wallet. How wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling. Daily explainers, war room analysis, strategic conversations. Because news is everywhere, but perspective is rare. And in the age of confusion, clarity is power. Axis is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly. To understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.